Hi. Oh, damn. What the hell was that? My voice was just like solo. Hi. Zanzi 3 here to review chapter One Piece chapter 1013. Good morning. It's 10:22 here. Should be working, but I'm not. I'm cheating a little bit off of time. But I read the chapter, and my initial plan was to live react to this, but unfortunately I got spoiled. But it was my fault. I clicked the chat when I shouldn't. I clicked the chat that I'm a part of when I shouldn't have, and I saw the pic. But uh, I gotta say, I saw that spoiler and it made me happy, because and I'm talking about the ending of the chapter, and not happy in a way, happy in the way like when I say happy, I mean in the sense that this is the correct and, in my opinion, this is the correct and the right way for the story to progress. I mean, obviously, I'm not Eiichiro Oda. I'm just a fucking reader. Who am I to dictate how the story goes, right? But that being said, from the information that's been given to me from in Wano, just reading the entire theme of the Wano arc and all this stuff, I think this route feels the right way to go. Um, but no, I enjoyed the chapter a lot. I would say the highlights were obviously the stuff with Zeus and now what's going on with or the ending of the chapter. Um, One thing I would say, so it was a good chapter. I enjoyed it a lot. Zeus was adorable and all that. Definitely adorable. But one thing that I didn't understand in the chapter was the fusion attack. So in the chapter, and we see Hera too, right? We see Hera for the first time, and she kind of reminds that I swear I've seen like her design somewhere before. I just can't remember exactly where. Like that pointy nose, that hairstyle, everything I've seen before. Maybe I almost wanted to say Funny Valentine in JoJo's Part 7, but I don't know. I feel like I've seen it somewhere else before, and I just can't remember where. Like, or a similar design like that. But anyway, that fusion attack that they pulled off, I still don't understand like like what was the motion, right? So uh, Prometheus, or excuse me, Napoleon goes through Prometheus, so the sword goes through the sun, and then Hera kind of just comes across as like this multi pronged and angled lightning attack, and then some sort of like lightning blade or beam shoots out, right? But when you see the motion that Big Mom does, she's holding the blade at her side. So I was under the impression that she like stabbed and then pulled it back, but it seems like she swung almost. So I guess I'm kind of looking forward to like how the anime is going to animate to that. I want to see the emotion for that. Um, what else? Yeah, looks like R.I.P. Looks like R.I.P. Zeus. Unfortunately, um, I was talking about this with one of my friends, and there's if you don't know Greek mythology, Zeus was actually swallowed by his father Kronos, and Hera is actually Zeus's mother in Greek mythology, and obviously in this chapter she ate Zeus, right? Or she ate part of Zeus or something like that. So there could be a chance that Hera is going to be cut in two, and then Zeus is extracted from her body or from her stomach, just like how Zeus. That's actually how Zeus, quote unquote. I mean, Zeus was born, but that's how Zeus came into the world in Greek mythology. Like he was born, he was swallowed by Kronos, and then he came out of Kronos' stomach, and then became the king of the Olympians. And Zeus is the youngest out of his brothers in Hades and Poseidon. So it's interesting to see like what's going to happen with that. Which kind of just reminded me, right? Poseidon and Pluton, the two ancient weapons. Maybe there's a clue about Uranus in there somewhere. Who knows? But yeah, that happens. Ulti is defeated with that attack, with that fusion attack I was talking about. And by the way, that fusion attack was actually uh, an homage to a lightning attack from Godzilla. I'm a huge fan of Godzilla. I just don't remember every single kaiju's name. It's been a while. But I want to say that was Megera, I think. M-E-G. Not Megadeth. I'm thinking something else, but it's Megera, I think. Or maybe Space Godzilla, or maybe even Destroya, I think. It could be Destroya. But they were saying it's Master Canon, so it could be like some other kaiju that I'm just not remembering. Um, but yeah, no, it was a good chapter, and then obviously Kid comes in. Um, and saves Usopp and Nami and Otama from Big Mom. Um, so yeah, good chapter, I would say. But I really do want to talk about the ending of the chapter. This is the ending that I was hoping for. And I've said it before. I just don't think that if Luffy's gonna get one hit KO'd in Gear Fourth form at the start of at the start of this arc, I really don't think that advancing his stage, advancing his haki advancing two types of his two types of haki, just one stage more is going to be enough that's going to be enough reasoning for him to defeat Kaido. And I've said this before, Big Mom and Shanks are capable of the same thing, and they haven't been able to, quote unquote, just straight up defeat Kaido. And now, who knows, what exactly is the reason for that? Maybe there's hasn't been, you know, I'm sure there's been death battles between them, but, as to why that wasn't resolved, who knows, right? But if the idea was that Luffy was going to beat Kaido because he did, he unlocked that next stage of Conqueror's Haki, I just didn't believe it, I just couldn't believe that, his and you just got to think about the logic of this too, right? It's just the thing is that Luffy's palm is not touching Kaido, right? It's not touching Kaido. So if you think about reasons to defeat Kaido with like his tough hide, his scales, right? That shouldn't be it. You just because and this is kind of like my problem with understanding this new Conqueror's Haki was. It's like, okay, obviously there's probably going to be like some bigger damage. It's going to be some bigger effect, some bigger hit, right? It's just that your palm or your limb is not touching the body of the guy that you're attacking, right? So, but you gotta, I feel like there's got to be like some other effect to it. Maybe there's got to be some sort of explicit line of dialogue that says greater damage, or just something to it, right? But I was always under the impression that the raid was going to fail. I was always under the belief that the raid was going to fail, that they weren't, quote unquote, going to win. And this was due to like many reasons, mainly because of Luffy's defeat at the start. And of course the unbelievability of advancing your haki just one stage up, right? But like I said, you compare it to Big Mom and Shanks, who are capable of the same thing. They haven't done that. They haven't beaten Kaido. So if they haven't beaten Kaido, they have the same, and for sure they have the same abilities. Of course they do. I refuse to believe that they don't have it, right? I'm sure they have the same abilities. They got to. They're fucking Yonko. They're fucking emperors. I shouldn't say Yonko because technically Luffy is an emperor, but so it should be Goko. But yeah, but they're emperors and they're not capable of it, right? So maybe the laughing thing that was talked about with Luffy the last chapter, the last time we saw them. Maybe that laughing thing is going to be, who knows, it might have something to do with the Will of D or Joey Boy, but maybe that laughing thing is going to be some thing that Luffy can use to beat Kaido. But I always said that this is not the arc for Kaido to be defeated. People, I think, are focusing too much on the idea that Kaido should be defeated, and not so much on the idea that Wano has to be freed from Kaido's clutches. And you can do that without defeating him. And I always said that, and don't take this super literally, but that Wano can be freed and Kaido can be expelled in the same way that if you've watched the Pokemon anime, you know how like Team Rocket in the English dub, they always say, in Team Rocket in the English dub, they always say that, we're blasting off again, and then you see like a little twinkle in the sky. I can imagine, something happening where Kaido he falls off of Onigashima and, he gets expelled from, not that he's defeated or knocked out or incapacitated, but he's expelled from Onigashima. He's not defeated in a 1v1 or anything like that. He's just, boom, yeeted out of Wano, for better lack of term. And the other thing that I was saying was that you have to think about the theme of this arc, or really the theme of One Piece. One of the core themes of One Piece, since the first chapter, with Roger's execution, has always been about the shifting of eras, the coming of a new era, how being in the present, the past, the future. And when you saw the chapter 1000, when Luffy reached the rooftop, you saw the 5 people of the worst generation fighting together against 2 emperors, right? So it's not so much a Luffy versus Kaido thing, it's more so a worst generation or a supernova, this new era defeating the old era in some respect, right? So, and that's part of the reason why I didn't like that. The both those team ups have been splintered, Kaido and Big Mom, and now the Worst Generation, because I just felt that it was narratively and thematically more fitting for One Piece if they fought together and they defeated them together, And the other thing, that's another thing too, right? Like I understand Luffy just unlocked a new stage of Conqueror's Haki, but the idea that that's going to do more damage than him fighting together with Zoro and Kid and Law and Killer, I don't think that's very, I mean, he has a new weapon, but that new weapon, like, I don't like to go power levels or anything, but, well, I mean, I do like to go power levels, but, I do like to compare parallels and all this, but this is One Piece. It's not exactly like, Saint Seiya or Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball or Hokuto no Ken or Yu Yu Hakusho or, some other, like, energy, quote-unquote, based, skill-based fighting series like that. This is a little more in the gray area, kind of like Naruto or Hunter x Hunter, right? So, but with One Piece, right, it's not always like that. So, but I just can't see a new stage of Conqueror's Haki putting one man of a 5-man team above that said 5-man team. So that's another thing. Like, I just think it makes too much sense for Luffy to lose here. And the other thing is that what was I talking about? Yeah, like the splitting up, right? And that's the other thing with Kaido and Big Mom. It's like their union or their alliance. It's emblematic of the return of Rocks, right? And so I was talking to my friend about this. The world has to know about this. It's like a big event. If Rocks is coming back in some respect, it might not be actually Rocks Diesabek or the Rocks pirate crew, but the world has to know about Rocks somehow. They have to know that they're coming back in some respect. And I understand, what the discussion with Garp and those two vice admirals and everyone, or the Marines, that not many people know about Rocks, and like the talk with Sengoku, like the information about Rocks is it's not really made public, and not many people from that era are still alive to this day. But you have to, I don't think it's something that they would necessarily want to keep secret. I mean, obviously the God Valley incident is one thing, excuse me, but not Rocks, Diesabek, and his crew as a whole, right? So I'm sure like the team of Kaido and Big Mom, like Morgan's has to, I would assume it's through Morgan's, and he'll learn somehow. I don't know, maybe he has like a WEJ member there or something, but they will learn, the public will learn about the team up of Kaido and Big Mom somehow. And you got to keep in mind Oda's comment. He was saying that the battle between Luffy, Big Mom, and Kaido is going to have lasting effects on the world of One Piece. I think he said this in 2018, 2019, I don't know, maybe even 2020, maybe even last year. I'll have to go back and check, but so the world effect is something to think about too. And obviously if Kaido's defeated, and Big Mom is defeated, which that'll lead into my other point, that's going to have a great effect on the world. And if Luffy loses, he is already a new emperor. He's gonna his defeat would also that would be big news for the world as well. But let's talk about Big Mom. I've been saying this for so many days, right? So on so many videos, so many streams, whatever. This arc is not just about Kaido. It's about Big Mom too. This arc is about Big Mom as well. And I always said, whenever Kaido is defeated, Big Mom will either be defeated at the same time or before or after, in a very, like, the gap time in between their defeats is going to be very short. Either at the same time, or one will be defeated before the other, and the other will follow right after. Not like, and I watch King of Lightning, and I watch some other One Piece, tuber videos, and there's this talk about Big Mom going to Elbaf. I don't see it. I don't think it's gonna happen at all. I just don't see it. It just thematically, and from like a just trying to think of like the themes of One Piece. It just doesn't really make much sense for this one guy from the past era to survive, and this other guy, or this one guy from the past era to not be beaten, and this other guy from the past era to be beaten. They got to go down at the same time. That era of Rocks, that era of pirate, it needs to be extinguished at the same time. And yeah, I mean that's just what has to happen in my opinion, right? You got to look at it from the theme of moving eras, and that's why Kaido and Big Mom, they have to be defeated together. As to how they will be defeated, I've always held fast to the idea that the SSG has to be the one to defeat them. It has to be. Well, not it has to be. I'm just when I say it has to be, I'm just I'm saying it from Saiyan Z3's perspective. But what I mean is that one of my complaints about One Piece has always been that the Marines just overall as a force aren't very good. They just aren't, writing wise or feats wise or how hyped we get behind them. I've been saying this since 2013. The vice admirals kind of suck. Honestly, they really do. Momonga is kind of cool. Obviously, Garp is the exception, but the vice admirals just they don't really do anything. Onigumu doesn't do anything. Doberman doesn't do anything. I know Strawberry. I think if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it was Strawberry or Yamakaji or Yamakaze, one of them. I'm forgetting the name, but they were in the flashback with what's his name, Fisher Tiger and Borsalino and Arlong, right? So he was there. So they're there at opportune moments. They just need to be fleshed out as characters and whatnot, right? And who knows whether that will happen or not, right? But point is, I've always said that besides the admirals and besides Garp, and maybe even Sengoku, the Marines considering and Smoker, I would say maybe Smoker and maybe Kobe, maybe Helmeppo too. Just the members of the Marines as a whole aren't like the most interesting part of One Piece, right? They just aren't the most well written. And when I say well written, I'm not expecting like fucking Meruem or Griffith or a character like that. I'm just saying we would like some more like backstory behind each character, some more characterization for each character, some meaningful characterization for each of those vice admirals and stuff. And you can expect that from Oda because Oda's just that good of a writer. And One Piece as a whole is just a very big series, right? But point is, like I've always said, the Marines just aren't like a very good group, and you just don't really take them seriously as a threat compared to the Yonko, right? But now that the SSG is a thing and that the warlords have been disbanded, now they can actually go ahead and prove that by defeating Kaido and Big Mom, right? So I think I've always held fast to the idea that that's what it should be, right? And there's so many like stones and questions that can be answered if they do that, right? The Marines now they're a definite threat if that happens. And I've always held, and if you guys haven't watched my theory video, I said that the SSG, their new project, is the ability to replicate devil fruit powers in other people. And I was pretty much saying ancient giants too, because of like what was going on with Punk Hazard, and you see all like these little hints throughout the rest of the series since then, and Kaido having the horns. I theorize he's an ancient, or he has some sort of ancient giant blood in him. So maybe it's ancient giants, maybe it's just regular humans, So, and you look at Blackbeard, he's amassing devil fruits too. So the Marines and Blackbeard, they're definitely aware of something. Kaido's amassing smile fruits. Everyone is amassing devil fruits, right? So it's going to be like this big devil fruit war for the ancient weapons, or that at least that's what Big Mom and Kaido want, right? So, but yeah, if they come in, the SSG, their project comes in, they defeat Kaido, and who knows, maybe that applies to an admiral also. Who knows, maybe Kizaru or, Isho and, Ryoko Gyu, maybe they come in and they have multiple devil fruit powers. Now, who knows how it's gonna work? But if the SSG is the one that defeats the Yonko, that would just make them that much more. It would refresh the idea of a threat in the mind of the reader, is what I'm trying to say, right? You would take them as seriously as the Yonko. You would take them as seriously as a Mihawk or a Doflamingo or some strong character like that. And I forget where I was gonna go. I just had a thought in my head, and what was I talking about? I was talking about the Delphi stuff. Kaido's defeat, right? So, or the expulsion of Kaido from Wano, if that's what I mean. So, I'm trying to think where else to go. Other reasons. Oh yeah, other reasons too. Other reasons why Luffy, being knocked out at the end of this chapter is a good thing. It's, you look at, the CP0, the Go board discussion, where they were saying like, it's a very small chance that Kaido and Big Mom are defeated here, but if it does happen, that their officers, Kaido's officers needs to be defeated, right? Like the Flying Six and the All Stars. We still haven't seen King's face, right? I'm sure Sanji's got to meet up with Queen at some point, right? who knows what Perisper is going to do with Marco. If he's probably going to sneak attack him, and then Nico's going to fight him, right? Um, that's the other thing too. Big Mom has already taken out Page One and Ulti, or at least I don't know if they're out for good, but she's knocked them out, right? Um, so who knows? Like well, not who knows. It's more like, see, this is kind of like another. I don't know. Like, I like it, right? It makes the most sense for a Yonko to betray the other, or to kill their alliance with the other Yonko immediately. Not immediately, but just like that, or something fickle. Considering how like betrayal was such a big thing in the Rocks pirate crew. Um, but everyone was so hyped about Nami versus Ulti, and now it's just kind of like, oh, Ulti has been, and it's Big Mom's was great, but it's also like, even though that was great, you also suffered from the idea that Nami versus Ulti didn't happen, or that Usopp versus Page One didn't happen, or that they weren't able to beat them on their own, which probably makes sense in the long run, considering like how they are like the weakest two of the crew, if you will. Um, they're not really the fighters of the crew, and they're not meant to defeat people in the same way that Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji and Jinbei are, right? But so there's a good and a bad thing to Big Mom defeating both Page One and Ulti this chapter. Who knows if they're gonna stay out for long though, and but yeah, this was just the right ending, and then you think about other things like I think it was yeah, it was Hawkins. He was saying like how a certain character, they only have 1% chance of surviving, so I forget what chapter he said that. I think that was to Drake, maybe. What's Drake doing? So, but no. Anyway, point is, like, in the long run, I think this is the right way for this fight to go. I don't think Kaido should be defeated this arc, and and I'm sure at some point in the future, Luffy will defeat Kaido on his own, 1v1. I'm sure it will happen. Um, and who knows? Maybe even Kaido and Big Mom will be used in the big war that is to come. There's some big war coming. There's one right now happening between Kaido and Big Mom, them teaming up, Blackbeard and the Marines. Everyone is amassing devil fruits in some respect, right? So that's gonna happen. It's Doflamingo's, quote about, the fight for the throne, the revolutionaries and stuff, the world, the celestial nobles, or the world nobles, celestial dragons. And then there's going to be another war between the Marines and the world government, between, whoever finds One Piece. Presumably the Straw Hats, right? So maybe there's like two wars to anticipate. Maybe it's one war altogether. Who knows? But the point is that I think that Kaido and Big Mom might both be saved for that new war. And this could also be a learning lesson for Luffy. He's gained territory. He's gained Fishman Island. Dressrosa's an ally of his. He's gained a fleet. All this different stuff, right? So who knows, like, what's gonna happen in the future with them? But yeah, I just think thematically this was the right way to go. Although Luffy was getting Saiyan Zenkais and learning new powers and stuff, for him to lose here, I think this feels right. This is what makes the most sense. And I just think you look at hints all the way before, between CP0, between the one hit KO, just the Shanks and Big Mom being capable of the same thing that Luffy is doing right now. There's so much more, and people think like this is like next level shit because Roger and Whitebeard were doing it, and in a way they're right. But this is just scratching the surface, man. You got to think about Dragon. You got to think about Mihawk, M, Blackbeard, Zabak, Roger and Whitebeard when they're like, I mean, I know they were in their prime back then, but when they were fighting, like, when we see that fight between them and Zabak, oh, come on, man. Shanks, so many other characters that have got to reveal like what they're capable of, and so just to think that, and then Kaido's the strongest pirate in the world, who knows if that title is so true. I'm sure Shanks and Blackbeard or whoever, like, they've done some secret training, or they've gained some new powers or whatever, and so maybe now they're the strongest in the world. But who knows, right? Who knows? Who knows what Im is capable of? So don't. I know we're all like riding off the high of this Conquerors Hockey thing, but trust me, there's a lot more to be discovered. But yeah, I mean, this is basically my review. I think this is the this is the right way for this to end. And who my one fear, I would say, is that Luffy recuperates in the, after he's been knocked out, and then he's gonna go up back and fight Kaido again for round 3. I just think this is too convenient. One of the things I didn't like about this whole one of the things I don't like about this whole Conqueror's Haki thing is that the idea that Kaido knocked him out, but Luffy's still glaring at him. The artwork does not convince me of that, right? The artwork doesn't convince me of that. That he's still glaring at him. I don't understand the reason for why it is. Like, I don't understand. You're knocked out, but you're still glaring at him. Whatever. But I don't like that part. And who knows? It might be the same thing here with with Luffy falling off. But yeah, this whole Conqueror's Haki thing and him knocking him out and just all that stuff, I don't really like. And the other thing was, like, you look at the start of this fight, Luffy in Gear 4th mode expended all his Haki, right? Just like pummeling Dragon Form Kaido, right? Just pummeling Dragon Form Kaido. And that's another thing. Zoan Form Kaido just debuted. Zoan Form Kaido just debuted, right? Zoan Form Kaido just debuted. So for him to, like, 3 chapters later, Luffy unlocks Conqueror's Haki and he's gonna beat him? No. It ain't time, bro. It ain't time. So, yeah. I mean, there's just, like, so many hints that Luffy was not gonna win, at least this time. But I really hope he doesn't recuperate, like in the fight that he did with Katakuri. I didn't like it then either. I just feel that the idea that Luffy has to run away kind of takes away from the image of Luffy that Oda wants to draw for the writers, right? Or for the readers, excuse me. Luffy's got to be like Goku and Kenshiro and Gintoki, where he has to fight. When he wins a fight, it has to be fairly, right? And although I love the Katakuri fight, Katakuri stabbing himself and Luffy having to run away and recuperate, I think it delegitimizes, the victory of that fight. Now, obviously, Luffy's stronger now for sure. He would win fair now for sure against Katakuri and Zoro and, like, a host of other characters. But the idea that Luffy's gonna recuperate now, he's gonna get his Haki and his strength back and go back up and fight, I don't think that's gonna, I just don't like it. I hope that doesn't happen. Now, what's gonna happen to Luffy, I don't know. Maybe Big Mom pirates catch him, and then they try to kill him there, or they imprison him, or they capture him or something, or maybe he lands in, they're above the Flower Capital now, right? So maybe something happens with that. Who knows? I don't know what's gonna happen, but none of us do really. But if I had to guess, if I want to give, like, a prediction, I think this is good setup for the Scabbards dying. Maybe all 9 of them. I could see all 9 of them dying. I still think that Nico and Inu and maybe even Izo survive in some respect, but I could see. I mean, Ashura Doji is presumably dead. He's probably not dead, but he's presumably dead. What's gonna happen with Kinemon, and maybe, like, they sacrifice themselves in such a way that Kaido is expelled from Wano and that he can't get back up, right? So we'll see what happens with that. We will see what happens with that. Maybe his mansion burns down or something. The borders of Wano are finally opened up. Maybe there's, like, maybe it's not through direct victory, like Luffy knocking someone out. Maybe it's what I was saying. Maybe Kaido's just yeeted out, and who knows what's gonna happen with Big Mom for that too. So anyway, this is my chapter review for One Piece 1013. Great chapter. I was very satisfied with the ending. Allayed a lot of fears for me. So I can't wait for the next chapter. We'll see what happens with 1014, and I'll try to live react to that. But yeah, I mean, that's it for this chapter. 30 minutes. Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm struggling to talk today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you on the flip side. Peace.